Hello, I'm Peggy Cook, a regional coordinator and branch manager with the Pioneer Library System. I'm here to welcome you today to another awesome program in the Lawyers in the Library series. Today we'll be discussing the 2020 income tax season and try to give you great advice and very timely advice about how to do your best in preparing your income taxes for this year. There have been a lot of changes. And great news, we have a real expert here with you today. We'd like to thank Legal Aid Services of Oklahoma for this continuing partnership. And at the end of this program, I'll tell you how to locate the other video programs that Legal Aid has provided for the library system. So thank you very much for joining this Pioneer Library System program. Our speaker today is Brette Gollihare. She's the director of the Legal Aid Services Low Income Tax Clinic. Brette comes to us with a BS and M.Ag from Oklahoma State University. She received her JD from the University of Oklahoma. She was in private practice before joining Legal Aid in 2018. And Brette, we're just delighted to have you here today and look forward to hearing the information that you have prepared for us. Really breaking news.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to share some information with y'all about the law that was passed on March 12th, 2021 that provided us with the stimuluses for the round 3 and also made some changes to our tax code. So I'm going to get started here. And like I said, I really appreciate y'all having me. I'm going to start with general disclosures. Every case is different. If you have a specific question about your case, you need to contact an attorney or reach out to Legal Aid Services of Oklahoma to request an intake be done. This presentation is not meant to provide individual legal advice and doesn't form an attorney-client relationship. And any information that is state specific, which I don't believe there will be any, would be related to Oklahoma. This is all federal tax law, so it should apply equally to everyone. I'm going to start out by speaking to you briefly about the first 2 rounds of stimulus payments that everyone received or should have received by now, and talk to you about how those are different from this newest round. Round 1 was based on your 2018 return or your 2019 return, meaning the income you made on those returns, the dependent you claimed on those returns, to calculate the amount you would receive for your stimulus. They also created what's called a non-filer portal, where you could go online and say, I don't have a filing requirement, but I want to let you know that I'm here so that you can send me my stimulus payment. Those requests on the non-filer portal created a return with a $1 AGI. So if you are filing a 2020 return now and you use the non-filer portal, your AGI from last year, which you will need to e-file this year's return, will be $1. The deadline to send those payments out was December 31st, 2020. So in the event that you didn't receive your first round payment by December 31st, 2020, you were going to need to use an alternative method to receive that payment. The first round was $1,200 for the adults. Either if you filed single or if you filed married, filing jointly, it would have been $2,400 for your household, and then $500 for each child under 17 years old received a $500 payment. In round 2, they based it on your 2019 or 2020 return. So if you had a dependent on your 2018 return, that didn't count for round 2. The deadline to issue these payments was January 15th, 2021. They were $600 a person across the board, including your children got the same amount as the adults. Once again, anyone 17 or older did not qualify. The next few things I'll discuss applied to both round 1 and round 2. They were called an economic impact payment to begin with, or stimulus payment. However, when you file on your 2020 return, if you did not previously receive your stimulus payments, they will be called a rebate recovery payment. And they will be found on line 30 of your 1040 form. So if you didn't receive yours by those dates that I mentioned previously, you will need to claim it on your 2020 tax return on line 30, and it will be called the rebate recovery payment. Once again, for both of the previous payments, anyone who was claimed on a tax return as a dependent that was over 17 years old, this could include your high school juniors and seniors, your children who were college students that you were still claiming as dependents, your elderly parents that maybe have limited income and you provide more than half the support, so you're able to claim them as dependents. All of those people do not qualify for a stimulus payment because they're over 17 years old and they're claimed as a dependent. However, if they filed their own return in 2020 because they were now providing more than half of their own support, then those individuals could claim the rebate recovery payment on line 30 as previously mentioned. Originally, when this law was passed, both spouses had to have a Social Security number. They did change that to if one had an I-10 and one had a Social Security number, then you could receive a payment. But formerly, if both individuals had an I-10, then it disqualified the entire return, including children, from receiving a stimulus payment. And the initial rollout of the stimulus payment, the first round, was kind of a learning experience for the IRS. They were promulgating rules and trying to figure out how they were going to run this program. And so initially they said, well, if you don't normally file because you have Social Security, retirement as your sole source of income, or you're on SSDI, disability, or you receive SSI, or even if you're on railroad retirement, veterans disability, those types of income that normally wouldn't require you to file a tax return, they wanted you to go ahead and file one. But they changed that pretty quickly. So you automatically received one if you received those types of income and you didn't need to take any further action. Both laws said that it cannot be garnished or seized if it is in the form of an advance payment. However, if it is in the form of a rebate recovery payment on the 2020 return, it can be seized for any of the traditional reasons that a tax return could be seized. Those would include child support, defaulted student loans, tax payments, things like that. Any of the normal reasons they could seize your refund, whereas they couldn't seize the advanced payment portion. They also litigated an issue related to incarcerated individuals. If you were incarcerated at any time during 2019, even for a short period, they were essentially denying a stimulus payment, and that has been litigated, and they have now determined that people who were incarcerated for some time are eligible. So now we need to look at round 3. What is happening for this round that was just passed on Friday, March 12th? How is it different? Well, it is based on the 2020 return. Those are the returns we are filing now. However, I know several people who have already started to receive those payments, which means that that wasn't on file. So they referred back to the 2019 return because they haven't received everyone's 2020 tax return. Those aren't due until April 15th. And so if that wasn't on file, they did refer back to 2019. This round is $1,400 per person on the return. They removed the age cap for dependents. So previously you had to, if you were 17 or older, you did not qualify. However, they've removed that age cap. So now your college dependents and parents that are on Social Security, etc., will receive a $1,400 payment per person. So for instance, a family of 4, 2 parents, 2 children would receive $5,600 in stimulus funds. The deadline to send this check out will be December 31st, 2021. It is an advance payment of a tax credit for 2021. So if you do not receive it by December 31st, 2021, again, you will claim that on your 2021 return. So they had an initial determination date to determine who should receive these payments. They will do a second determination date for individuals, for instance, that didn't have 2019 on file, didn't get 2020 return filed quickly enough. That will be 90 days after April 15th or September 1st, whichever is later. It actually, the law says 90 days after the original tax filing date, and they added the September 1st just in case that they did have to extend the filing deadline due to some of the changes that we'll talk about later. The next topic I want to talk to you all about is unemployment and the changes that are happening there. With COVID-19, we know that many people experienced periods of unemployment and may have been receiving unemployment income. And additionally, through both of the former packages, they were providing an additional amount per week in addition to the amount that you would have received under normal unemployment laws. And unemployment income has always been taxable. That is taxable income. It's replacing your wages. It has always been taxable. However, on March 12th, they did sign into law a change to our traditional rule. There will be, this is the old rule, unemployment is taxable, no exceptions, until last Friday. Now the new rule is the first $10,200 of unemployment income per person is not taxable. You're still allowed to claim your standard deduction on top of that, but if you had unemployment income in 2020 and you've already filed a tax return, you may need to go back in and file a superseding return because you may have paid taxes on income that's no longer taxable. A superseding return is any return filed before April 15th. So you're saying, hey, I filed this return, I made a mistake, I've caught the error, and I'm replacing it with this other return. The difference is an amended return, which many people often refer to, would be filed after April 15th, and it goes through much more scrutiny at the IRS. So if you need to correct your unemployment income, you should try to do that before April 15th. We're still waiting to determine if the IRS is going to issue new forms or changes in instructions to let you know how to do this. So I would give it a few days, but I would definitely try to do it before April 15th if possible. Okay, the last thing I'm going to talk to you about is child tax credits. There was a big change related to child tax credits. However, this change is different. It applies to the 2021 tax year. So that will be the return that you file next April or next January through April. However, we're starting to see some of the effects of those changes now. So just so you're allowed to do some pre-planning and can think about the best way for this to work for you, I wanted to give you the information. Currently, the tax credit is $2,000 per child. Only $1,400 of that is refundable should you not owe a tax liability. They are changing that to $3,600 for children who are under 6 years old and $3,000 for children who are 6 to 18 years old. They have increased the maximum age. It was formerly you could not have reached age 17. Now it's you cannot have had your 18th birthday. So children who are 17 will now qualify for the child tax credit. Additionally, there was formerly a minimum income. So you had to have $2,500 of income. You couldn't, of taxable income. They have gotten rid of that. And so now if you are not receiving wages, then you still qualify. It is now fully refundable. Like I said previously, the former tax credit was not fully refundable. So if you didn't have a tax liability, you didn't get full credit for that credit on your return. There is a phase out beginning at $75,000 and for single individuals and $150,000 for individuals who are married filing jointly. There's going to be an advance payment option, which I'm going to talk about in more detail on the next screen. It will, if you are fully phased out of the increased tax credit, they will still allow you to claim the tax credit under the old laws, which allow individuals to make up to $200,000 and married filing joint couples to make up to $400,000 to claim the child tax credit. So if you don't qualify for the increased amounts, then you still qualify for the law as it was before this was passed. Now, the advanced child tax credit payments is the last piece we're going to talk about. This is something new that's never been done before. It is likely going to start in July. And what it does is it gives you, as an advance payment, similar to the stimulus payments, half of the child tax credit. So for instance, if you had a child who was under 6 years old and your child tax credit was going to be $3,600, instead of getting that all refunded to you when you file your tax return, they're going to begin making advance payments on that amount of $300 for the last 6 months of the year, likely starting in July. So $300 for 6 months, up to $1,800, which would be half of the child tax credit. They will use a reference year, which is the preceding calendar year, or 2 years preceding if it wasn't filed. So if you are claiming a child in 2021, that is the year that you will claim the credit on. However, in order to determine if you are entitled to the advance payments, they will look at calendar year 2020. So if you are in a situation where you have separated parents and you are rotating years between, and one parent claimed in 2020 and the other is claiming in 2021, it's possible that one parent will get the advance payments, and they, depending on their income, may have to pay the advance payments back if they weren't entitled to them. However, the IRS is going to create an online portal similar to the non-filer portal, where you can update information if you have new children or need to take children off, make changes. We aren't sure what that will look like because it's still going to take them a while to develop that, but an online portal should be coming sometime in the future before July. That concludes the information I have for you. I just want to let you know that my name is Brette Gollihare. I'm the Legal Aid Services of Oklahoma Low Income Tax Director. If you feel you need assistance from legal aid, please reach out to us at legalaidok.org and file an application for assistance. We would be happy to see if we are able to help you.
Thank you so much, Brett. I really appreciate your expertise and the way you explained those multiple changes. And thank you for mentioning the website legalaidok.org. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct. Yes.
Yes. So as you are looking for information on the Pioneer Library System YouTube channel, we are collecting all of these legal aid services videos in the Lawyers in the Library series. And so go to YouTube and search for Pioneer Library System, and then you'll be able to sort and find these Lawyers in the Library programs and access this really awesome and reputable information that is going to help you with all these issues that are coming up in our world as COVID has caused so many changes. We thank you very much, Brett. Thank you for your time and the great preparation you did. And we ask you, our viewers, to tune back in. We have more new programming on the way. So thank you very much. Have a super day.